Let me ask you about pitfalls and problems that you have seen when it comes to like sales enablement and how to avoid them.
Yes.
That's a big question, isn't it?
This is a really interesting topic, and I love it because when you talk about specifically competitive enablement, when you tell them that, hey, this is the program that is going to make your team way more better at sales, you're going to start winning those competitive deals, everybody's on board. And a lot of companies that try to do this in-house as well.
Right.
But here's the thing. There's so many departments tied into it. And you want to do this, and this. And you want to get millions of data points coming in. There's so much information out there. And if I'm a competitive intelligence manager at a company, like if I give you a book, an essay of all the data points to a salesperson, they'll be just like, I don't have time for this.
Well, welcome back to the Professional Rule Breaker podcast. I'm really excited that you are here today because everything we do is about you to help you create more impact and more income. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. All you have to do is just click the subscribe button, and that way you won't miss any of our next episodes that we have with all these amazing entrepreneurs. So I have to start today with a question. So are you struggling to grow and scale your business? Because if you are, you're in luck today because we have the co-founder of the company called Grow and Scale. And they were this tiny little company of 2 people in 2019. And believe it or not, they landed Microsoft as their first client. And then since then, they've grown their team, and their objective is to support international business-to-business tech startups. They offer customized programs such as competitive intelligence, lead generation, and sales enablement to empower companies to close more accounts. So I want to welcome to the Professional Rule Breaker podcast, Dejan Gajsek.
Thanks so much for inviting me. This was an amazing intro. I should save this.
Well, you've done some amazing things in your life. So I wanted to make sure I said good things about you. So I want to start because I know you have like a unique story. You're an immigrant from Slovenia. So tell me, how did you get from there to where you are now?
That goes a long way back, but it stems from my childhood. When I was growing up, I was crazy about music. And in my early 20s, I started traveling. And my first foray into the States was in Seattle. And Seattle is a cradle of amazing music. I made it a mission to immigrate to North America. And the way to do that was at that point, to join startups. That was a way to get in. I wasn't good at coding at all. I tried my best, but just not my jam. But I'm pretty good at researching and figure out how people buy and why they care. So I tried with marketing. And after 2-3 early stage startups without a product market fit, I made it back to Seattle, which was crazy. Might have been a sign from the universe that, hey, you're on the path there. It didn't pan out. A lot of startups that don't have product market fit at a very early just ran out of capital. But I started this little agency because I learned a lot with my co-founder. At that time, she was a marketing assistant at the first startup. And as you said, we are very lucky. We landed Microsoft as our first project, actually two little projects. And that was the starting point of everything that followed.
I mean, that really says something that a small company can land a contract with Microsoft. So I think you deserve a lot of congratulations just for that. So tell me, what did you really do like when you first started out with Microsoft? What were like the things that you were helping them with, and how did it go into like what it is that you offer today?
Yeah. So what was my mission at the first few startups is that I needed to influence growth by any means necessary. And with the early stage startups, there were no budgets at all. So I had to focus on the channels that we don't have to spend, but they're a high leverage point for growth. And that was content marketing. It's very difficult to produce content and it needs to be the best, but you don't necessarily have to put a lot of monetary resources in it. And that was my way of how to grow those small early stage companies. And because with the first startup, we were accepted in the accelerator program in Seattle, I wanted to connect with everybody out there. I wanted to connect with people from Amazon, from Microsoft, and everybody else. And
It's a great place to be to do that too.
It's an amazing place. And I had conversations with senior marketing managers from multiple companies. And I had this contact from Microsoft that she reached out to me at one point asking for help about this different type of help that I provided, but I gave them a good recommendation of another agency. They did a good job, and she came back to me with another request. Can you help us build this messaging for one of their projects that were winding down? And I said, well, I don't know anyone out of my mind that I would recommend, but I'd love to take a look at it. And that led to a first project. First project was accomplished really well, led to second projects, and we've used that contact to get more deals and more projects years after.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know that part of what your firm does now is competitive analysis. So tell me, how does that help in the whole sales process?
Yeah, as anyone who's in B2B space, they probably know how hard it is to close sales. There are big budgets on the line, and at the end cycles of a open deal, you're always being compared to one or two competitors in the space.
At least,
like,
right?
At least. Like the statistics said that, and this is online, that about a third of all deals are competitive deals. But if you think about it, at the end stages, you're always compared to at least a couple of other big companies. So the competitive analysis means that you're looking at your own product, your own positioning, your value propositions, your strengths and weaknesses, and you compare them against your top 2 or 3 biggest competitors. So once you do and gather all the intelligence you can get, either from primary sources, from the company itself, from CRM, salespeople, customer success, and secondary resources, which is available online. So let's say aggregator of reviews, your competitors' pricing, product informations, social media listening, and so on. You get all the information together and you fuel sales teams with assets they can use to close the deals that are competitive, which are almost all of them. So This is really important. It's important because for sales, you're getting more revenue. And for the product teams, it's great because you have insight of what your quote unquote rivals are doing.
Right.
So you know what to prioritize in the product roadmap, and for the stakeholders themselves, like, hey, how are they going to, what's their next big strategic decision they need to make? So if the competitors are looking into acquiring another company, that seems important. That should be important, right? We've lost a lot of big companies like blockbusters back in the day that could have been huge, but they weren't quick to adapt, or they just wasn't aware of the threat that was Netflix at that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't you think that competitive analysis can also help your company stand out from the crowd? Because I think that's really important in sales, is to figure out how to stand out from the crowd. So if you know what your competitors are doing and what they're not doing, is that,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, and it's not the point of being better than other company. It's like you said, like, how are you different?
Mhm.
Like, if we think about the biggest brands in any kind of space, like, say, if I tell you Nike, you're probably you have images in your head about resilience, great celebration of athleticism, or things like that. And it's different than some other company that also produces sportswear. Let's say Lululemon is my favorite company because they nailed their positioning so well with their targeting into modern day successful women in business that also want to look great and also move with elegance and care about healthcare. And nobody served that market at that time as well as Lululemon. And Lululemon expanded the brand, but that was their first position at the start, and it turns out to be very successful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is an example of a company that really knows their target market, and they market to specifically to the feelings and the demographics of their customer. So
Absolutely.
yeah, they're a great example. So I want to kind of go over something else that you do, lead generation, because lead generation is really important, especially in the digital age, as far as coming up with very valid leads for the sales team. So tell me, how does your firm help like sales growth with this lead generation?
Yeah, it's kind of a whole process tied together. So when we do work with a client, we look at what's working and what's the priority right now and what's not working, right? So if you're working with bigger clients, lead generation is not that big of a deal. They just throw a lot of money into a problem and they get leads coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a smaller, let's say a scale up or even a startup that's just finalized their Series A, no, they still have to take care of filling up their top of the pipeline. And once we do this massive research, asking everybody across departments, what's going on, what's important, where are you better, we figure out that there are some knowledge gaps that are missing in the whole funnel process. So we would build those knowledge gaps because even Growing Scale started as a content strategy company. And let's say that means producing a white paper, maybe adding a webinar, an email drip campaign, we will figure out, but all based on this massive research. And because we know these critical pain points and we can press those buttons, we know that we'll get really good qualified leads through these campaigns.
Okay. Okay. So let's say you have a sales team. Let's say you're working with a company and their sales team is really underperforming. What would be the first couple of steps that you would do to turn this around?
Yeah, first things first, definitely want to have time to talk with the salespeople. If there are a bigger group, then we use this with surveys. We like to measure the confidence of sales teams. So it's a survey, and we ask questions, and we figure out, hey, are you confident in your product or not? Or are you confident speaking against the competitor or about the competitor on those calls? And that's a starting point, because we'll see how comfortable sales teams actually are. And it is some sort of a soft metric at the start, but it's connected with sales performance. The more confident you are, the better are your results. It's connected. It's linear connectedness. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, with this massive primary sources of research, then we'll figure out what's missing, and we'll ask salespeople, hey, what do you need to be more confident on sales calls? What's something that you should have, but it's missing? What's not working? What's the format you'd like to receive collateral tools or assets or materials? We gather all this, we take it in-house, we design and produce those materials, and we give it to them, and then we check with them, either weekly or bi-weekly. If this pain point is really huge problem, then okay, let's have weekly talks and let's see how those competitive Intel assets are performing. And they usually always have a big lift, just because before you weren't using anything, and now you have the tools to attack those issues. So win rates are improving, confidence goes up, and then we just scale those processes either to other products in the company or other departments in the company.
Okay. So you said something that's really important. You mentioned confidence of the sales team. Because in sales, if you don't have confidence in your product and how well it does against a competitor and know everything about it, it makes it so much harder to sell, because you don't have that passion in your product and the conviction, and the customer always knows when you don't. So it's really actually wonderful that that's something that you measure, so you can see a before and after with what it is that you're helping them with. But I have a question, because sometimes in sales teams, when you roll some new program out, there is a ton of pushback on it. So that being said, what can you do to, I guess, engage the sales team and show them how what you're, the information that you're providing and the tools that you're providing will actually help them win at the end?
We always look at the big picture. Even if it's a new product launch, we just figure out, hey, how is this position in the market, and how is this position at your company? Because it wasn't launched just because it's another thing that we provide. It's not a nice to have. It's definitely, there was a lot of thought of launching this new product. And now we need to figure it out and kind of like simplify the message. Like, this is great because of this. And we compare it to the competitors, what they have, and how we are different based on this core position in front. We can go into tactics, how to speak about the product, recommend talk tracks, case studies on the call. But this is the main thing. Like, what's the one clear message so everybody on the team understands and everybody speaks in the same fashion? So this is the kind of like the mandatory point that everybody needs to accept. And you feel it, like, and you said it yourself, like the confidence thing, like this is a must-have. Like,
right?
Prospect smell it on the call on the other end. It's like, if
From
you
the
don't believe in this product,
yeah.
How do you expect that I'm going to believe in this product?
Right.
So nailing this down, the position is so clear, so easy to understand, and salespeople are great at their job because they know that whatever they're offering, they're not selling it. They know this is going to help them be better at their jobs. It's not for us to get more money. Yes, we need, because the revenue makes the business grow, but you have this solution for your prospect that's going to make their lives better. And we have to figure out what this message and positioning is first. Then we go into tactics, and then we look at the metrics, which always goes up once you do all those three things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me ask you about pitfalls and problems that you have seen when it comes to like sales enablement and how to avoid them.
Yes.
That's a big question, isn't it?
This is a really interesting topic, and I love it because when you talk about specific competitive enablement, when you tell them that, hey, this is the program that is going to make your team way more better at sales, you're going to start winning those competitive deals, everybody is on board. And a lot of companies that try to do this in-house as well.
Right.
But here's the thing. There's so many departments tied into it. And you want to do this, and this. And you want to get millions of data points coming in. There's so much information out there. And if I'm a competitive intelligence manager at a company, like if I give you a book, an essay of all the data points to a salesperson, they'll be just like, I don't have time for this American next big novel. Like I'm not going to use this. Like I'm getting sleepy just looking at this.
Right. I think it's salespeople, a lot of times they just want things to work. They don't want to know the details.
Yeah. So the first pitfall would be too much information and too fast. And second thing that is, salespeople are usually creatures of habits. So if you want to come in and just change everything and just saying, hey, this is the new next thing, everybody that is worth their salt, they're doing this, they're pivoting, but you have to meet them halfway, not halfway, you have to meet them at the third quarters on their way, because you have to turn all those data points into insights, package it into really nice, easy to consume formats. So it's available right there on a sales call when they need it. And it has to be in a medium that they can understand. So you're not coming in and introducing this complex new modern tech stack that they need to use. If your sales teams are working in Google Apps, okay, we'll deliver this battle card in Google Slides. Or if you access information on this tech stack, we'll make sure to adapt it and leave it there so we're not changing too many things. And this leads me to the second soft kind of like important metric. Besides confidence, we also measure competitive intelligence usage, because that's why we can prove that this works. And newsflash, it always works.
Well, I like what you said, because about keeping it in the same medium, because my experience has been that sometimes you'll get this competitive information or in tools and it's not in the same medium. And then you have to learn something new. And as a salesperson, it seems like you're running all the time. And so I love your approach that you try to keep it in whatever medium it is, so that it's easier to deliver for the salesperson to understand, and also for them to use with the customer. And then, of course, you got your data to back it up on top of that to see, if they use it, right? Will the sales grow?
Yeah, think about it from this perspective. Like, isn't it a little bit strange that there are people that are employed to create the best user experience for, let's say, your web visitors? Like everything works, there's no friction points, or just like they're minimal, just the ones that you need. But then why wouldn't you have the same amount of respect for your in-house teams? Make sure they don't have friction points, and make sure they have seamless access to all those materials and tools right there when they need it. They shouldn't be clicking into, 16 clicks down the Google Drive to find something. It should be right there. If you're using like, hey, just bring it up there. There you go. It's right there on the call. You don't have to excuse from the call. Just like, oh, let me pull this up, Kyle, or for you. And 5 minutes back, yes, we're better because our pricing is much more tied to what you guys need. No, it needs to be right there. And you only have one first impression. So you need to be confident, you need to have on point on the sales call, and you need to make sure that you can follow that deal until a successful completion.
Oh, absolutely. I think what it is that you do really helps sales teams. And I love how you said that you try to always make things frictionless. And I think that's really the way that business should always be done. So I love what it is that you're doing. And I have experience with that as well too. And I can tell you right now, what you do is so valuable for anyone in sales, whether you're a small company or a large company. So how would you, because you work right now with B2B tech startups. So if you have a smaller company, what would be like the first few steps that you would suggest for them to take in this arena? So it's not like so overwhelming in the beginning.
If you're a smaller startup, you don't bother as much with the competitive front just yet. Or maybe if you have achieved product market fit, maybe you are already being compared. But it's just taking a look at this and just prioritize what needs to be done. What's number one thing that is stunting your growth right now? Like you do this kind of like 80-20 analysis. Like 20% of problems causing 80% of issues. Mm-hmm. So this could be, okay, our resources are not there. We're not winning trust on the product yet. So we need to figure out something on the sales enablement front. Okay, do we need to produce more assets? Do assets need to be external and need to be publicly available on the website? Or do we need to produce assets for in-house, for sales teams? So we just checking off problems one by one and making sure that they're covered. And luckily, then you get compared to competitors in the sales. And then instead of picking 15 competitors, focus on one, maybe two. And your salespeople that are listening right now, they know exactly what companies they're going against because they keep hearing those names. And here's another little trick. Like if you hear and you see a competitor in the CRM being mentioned a lot of times, but you're winning those deals, you don't have to do competitive intel right there because you're winning those deals. Your sales team is great at them. But look at the ones that you're losing those deals. So pick one or two there and tackle them up front. Research, create assets, battle cards, and don't forget to do a win-loss analysis, maybe like at least once every 6 months, but quarterly would be even better.
Okay. Actually, that's a great point. The win-loss analysis. I think any business, small or large, should always do that because it kind of gives you, it stacks you up against your competitors. And it kind of gives you a number. Okay, we proposed 100 deals and we won 50 or we won 20 or whatever the number is. And can you improve that number, quarter after quarter or month after month by using the tools that you offer to make everything more efficient? Because I think a lot of what it is that you offer really helps the sales team become more powerful and more efficient in what it is that they do.
That's our goal. Yeah, win analysis is a huge thing. It's like, imagine driving a car and you get a flat tire, but you keep on driving it and you don't know why it's not working. Hey, you should stop, get out of the car, take a look what's going on. Oh, you get a tire. And then we're back on the winning track. So you have to stop and do a little bit of a retrospective here and there.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. What makes you a rule breaker? Because I know you're a rule breaker. So tell me about that.
Ooh, I would say I'm a rule breaker because I like to take half-court shots,
Ooh,
and I'll explain what that means.
okay. That's different. All right. Tell me about
Okay.
that.
So in basketball, half-court shots have they don't tend to hit that much, especially like the buzzer and quarters ending, games ending, take that half-court shots, right? So I think I was incredibly lucky because I take every conversation or I take time to reply to every email, connect with every person, not because I'm going to get something in return, but in the end, something good happens. And I'm not scared of taking that half-court shots, even sending an email to head of strategy of PepsiCo or anyone. I get replies because I'm just like, I have nothing to lose. And I treat that the life itself as kind of like a lottery of stuff. Just take little risks and something's going to happen.
I love that answer. I really love that answer because I think you're living just the way you said that. You're living your life to the fullest because you're out there taking the half court shots. I might have to steal that from you.
Okay. I'm going to trademark it. Feel free to use it.
Absolutely. And with that, I want to thank you for being on the Professional Rule Breaker podcast. So, where can people find you? And I think you also have something to give away, correct?
I do, yes. You can find us at growandscale.com. And I'm going to offer you a link to a competitive enablement audit quiz. It's like a 2-minute questionnaire, just seeing what's the strength of your competitive programs.
Okay.
You'll get a lot of ideas what to produce if you haven't started this or you're at the initial stages, but also if you already have those problems, we'll give you some ideas how to scale them further.
Absolutely. Well, we will have that information in the show notes for everyone to go ahead and contact you, as well as check out your link and check out that questionnaire as well. And I want to thank you for being here today. You have provided a lot of value. And I have to say, you also have created a ripple effect. So, for everyone that is out there that listens to my podcast, they probably have heard me say this before about how important a ripple effect is, and anyone can create a ripple effect. So, for Dejan, he created a ripple effect in helping all these sales teams out there be more efficient and more powerful and really deliver for the customer. Any one of you out there listening can do the exact same thing with what it is that you offer, because you are all unique and all are special. So again, thank you everyone for joining us at the Professional Rule Breaker podcast.
Thank you.